As I would always say, those who don't read must not lead, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, here we talk about leadership in the sense of, holding a position. We talk about leadership as, leading in whatever you're doing, being it thought leadership and so on. My name is Letlhokwa Mpedi. I'm Vice-Chancellor and Principal at the great University of Johannesburg. Thank you very much for joining us for another edition of High Tea with the Vice-Chancellor. Today, I have a special guest and a special word of welcome to my guest today, Miss Nicky Verd. Welcome. So good to have you here at the University of Johannesburg. Ladies and gentlemen, Nicky is a leading thinker on driving innovation through personal disruption and a human-centric digital transformation consultant focused on people and culture. And when you think she's a UJ employee, because this is what we are doing, every day, we want to disrupt. We are human-centric when it comes to digital transformation, and we are people-centered. It's all about the people. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to discuss a book that Nicky wrote, which has the title, Disrupt or Be Disrupted. Disrupt yourself or be disrupted. Now I'm changing the title, beg your pardon. It doesn't end there, ladies and gentlemen. Escape conformity, reinvent your thinking and thrive in an era of emerging technologies and economic anxiety. Here at UJ, we are well known for the leading role that we play in the fourth industrial revolution, the leading work that we are doing when it comes to artificial intelligence. So this book is quite relevant, for UJ and for the time we are living in. The title of the book is self-explanatory, ladies and gentlemen. I must tell you, Nicky, I enjoyed this book very much because a lot of things, that you cover, these are the things that we are trying to convey, also as a university to the young minds that we are training, to our stakeholders, to our friends. And thank you so much for joining us so that we can really engage and talk about this important book and the issues that you are raising. I mean, you talk about technologies, basically you disrupt yourself or you'll be disrupted by these technologies. You address issues such as job losses due to new technologies. And I like how you put it, you don't sugarcoat it. You are clear in saying that jobs will be lost. But then those that will lose jobs will stay there in the unemployment queue if they don't disrupt their thinking, reinvent themselves, and move on. Here at the University of Johannesburg, we say we don't just want to graduate job seekers, but we also want to graduate job creators. That's why I'm so glad to have these fine young minds present here today that we can engage with on this important topic. Ladies and gentlemen, we also say we are training these fine young minds for jobs that do not exist. But they have to go out there and be able to continuously reinvent themselves. Last year at UJ, we have this annual event where we honor people for their long service. And I raised the question, in the era of artificial intelligence, in the fourth industrial revolution, this concept of long service, will it be a thing of the past? 40 years service, 60 years service for some. Some people start early and they work for one employer. And you are clear that gone are the days where somebody joins the labor market, works for one employer for the rest of his or her life. I mean, I'm looking at myself, I'm too loyal, I think, because I worked for 3 employers in my life. But there are people who change jobs. And now with this technology, there are also other challenges, of people working remotely, and you raise all these important questions. It's those that will be brave enough, that would be committed to upskill themselves, reskill themselves, that would thrive in this fourth industrial revolution. This is how I understand the book. Another important point you are making, and this I took with me, you say, listen to this, ladies and gentlemen, upskill yourself. Money grows on skills, not trees. It reminded me of my mother who would say, hey, money doesn't grow on trees. Now I must tell her that no. Money grows on skills as well, you know. And in this book, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just giving a high level, and my takeaways, you know, from the book is also the warnings that you sound in the book, you know. For example, major pitfalls to avoid. For example, the entitlement and victim mindset. That is a book on its own when you talk about South Africa and South Africans. Let me not generalize, majority of South Africans. And I'm glad here we've got young minds here, we've got colleagues, of course, but this is mainly at young minds, the culture of entitlement, which is something that we're dealing with. The world owes us nothing. You know, growing up, I remember there were guys that would tell you that I'm going to be rich. But to say, how do you get to that status of being rich? Many never had a clear plan, you know. Or a person doing not much, but expecting to get results. So that culture of entitlement and victim mindset, something that we have to avoid, as you clearly state in the book. There's also another important point, you know, take away from me was that, and I quote you, Nicky, you say, an entitled person waits for recognition or reward instead of actively seeking solutions to their problem. You know, I think this world will be a better place if we have more people who are seeking solutions to the problems, more than those that are waiting for recognition or for a reward. Sometimes people talk to me and say, yeah, but you know, you don't appreciate me. And I'm like, in what sense? Yeah, you know, we don't get bigger gifts, we don't get this thing. I'm like, but you are being paid to do certain things, you know. Let's start with that, you know, and so on. And for me, it's really, I feel after reading this book, you know, that this book reaffirms something that I've always told myself, that one can never arrive. You arrive maybe when one is dead, you know, say that, I don't know if there's life after death, but you can only arrive when, you know, you are gone, you know, because there's always opportunities to reinvent oneself. And you advise and encourage one to pay attention to that nagging feeling. And you support this with good stories. I mean, the story of Paul Desmond, a person who learned to play a guitar at the age of 50. For me, it was like, hell, you know, I've got this nagging feeling, something that I feel I wanted to do it all the time. I want to be a DJ. Honestly, I want to DJ, and I'm going to, you know. I even bought a DJing software, you know. Soon you will be packing, you know, things and then playing and traveling and all those things, and you are a professor. Now you go around there DJing at nightclubs and all that. What message are you sending? I said, but who said I'm going to nightclubs? That as a good husband, I listened to her. By the way, Happy Women's Month, Nicky, Happy Women's Month to all the women in here and those that are joining us online. So then I abandoned that dream, you know, and I get invited to radio stations. You know, the other day I had my own show as a guest. I could feel that nagging, you know, that nagging. I don't feel fulfilled, you know, honestly. And damn, I'm going to, even though I could be the oldest DJ, doesn't matter. This guy, ladies and gentlemen, and I didn't know about the story until I read your book, he had that feeling to play a guitar. He taught himself how to play a guitar. At the age of 50, he started playing in a band. And he says when he feels like he can't accomplish anything, he looks at that guitar, he says, but anything is doable. To me, I'm going to make a plan. But to you, it could be singing or doing something. Pay attention to that nagging feeling. The day I've honed my skills of DJing, I hope I will still be Vice-Chancellor. I'm going to play for my students here at UJ. Right there at the fountain. Yeah. Are you looking forward? I promise you, will you come to, I'm going to have everything set there and play there at the fountain for our students. Just 1 hour. You will never be the same, and I will never be the same. Yeah, no. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, isn't it? It's not like we're getting drunk at a nightclub. We just appreciate music and making people dance. And your book really told me that you can do it. You must do it. It will be done. And maybe I can make a record and be the most educated DJ, you know. That would be nice. Yeah, and so you know, you have to evolve. That is what you're saying. And how many people do we meet? Because at my village, I can bring people, lots who are even brighter and hardworking, more hardworking than me, but who never had the opportunity that I had to be sitting here with you. And you emphasize this thing that, yes, you could grow under challenging circumstances, but that is not the end. You share a story of who we are. We love comfort zones. You know, sometimes say no, it's not doable until you start. And that is what, so you say evolve, you know. I was touched by this when you say, show me your friends, and I will show you your future. Sometimes the company you keep can determine where you'd go. If you meet people that the only thing they discuss is alcohol, you are going to be an alcoholic. You know, but you get people who talk about, you know, disrupting yourself in a positive way, to say, hey, there's a free course at UJ on AI in the 4IR. Join, you know, you will grow. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not about me. I was just sharing high level, you know, takeaways. You know, I have my own copy, which she kindly autographed. I enjoyed this book, but this type of a book that you read and you put down and then you pick up, you read again, and then you pick up, you read again. And thank you so much for putting it together. But your story, you know, it's really something that I want you to share yourself, you know, about how life disrupted you. And you lost your job, you thought that was the end. But you dusted yourself, and then now you're sharing this with everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not about me. We have the author here with us. I would like to now give a chance to address us, and then later on we can engage with Nicky. Nicky, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Thanks, colleagues.
Okay. Is this on? Hello. Okay. My voice is not as powerful as the VC's, so.
You know, Nicky, I'll tell you a story about my voice. We are all loud at my house, where I grew up, you know, my mother's house. So my mother said, don't apologize for being, she basically said we were loud-mouthed, but she said it's because we don't gossip. I'm not saying you gossip.
Right. Thank you so much, VC. And hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Oh, we got a full house here. Hello. Okay, I'm not getting you. Hello. That's more like it. So yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much, VC, for bringing me here. And yeah, my name is Nicky Verd. I am the author of the book that VC is just sharing. And my journey is quite an interesting one. You know, every time I tell the story, I still kind of pinch myself like, oh, did that really happen? So yes, as VC said, my journey or my story, I was still in the corporate world, you know, back in 2016, 2017. Towards the end of 2016, one day I went to work and my boss called me in for what I thought was a meeting to update him on what has been happening. By the end of that meeting, I was jobless. You know, he told me, sorry, Nicky, some restructuring has been going on and we've been wondering how to tell you, but there's no better way than to let you know we have to let you go. And that was basically it. And, you know, I stood there looking at him. He just unleashed this, I don't know how to put it on me, and he said it as if it's nothing, you know. But anyway, that was it. The weeks and the months that followed, to say that was some of the darkest moments of my life would be an understatement, because I did not see retrenchment coming. You know, my boss used to tell me stories 5 years ahead, the plans we were going to do, things that were going to happen within the company. And one day, just called me in like that, say, sorry, things are changing and we have to let you go. So As time went on, I was, like I mentioned, I was very devastated. And I actually had a couple of people in mind I thought deserved to have been retrenched. Like, hey, you've been here for 15 years? You've been here for 10 years, 5 years? I'm just coming in, why me, I was that entitled, but that was the pain talking, but I had those thoughts in my mind, I had a few people I knew. These were the people to have been retrenched. But nonetheless, as time went on, my pain, my frustration, translated into some sort of curiosity. I always say I always narrate it this way. When you buy a car, you start seeing that particular mark of car everywhere. Who has noticed that? Right? So for me, because I had been retrenched, news about retrenchment seemed to have been the thing that was on the news all the time. If I opened the TV, oh my God, there's someone being retrenched, or there's a company retrenching people. Radio, it was the same thing. Even passing where they're selling newsletter, the topic that will catch my attention, it's about one or two companies, retrenching people. But those were things I didn't pay attention to prior to that, but that was now what my attention was. And because of that, I got very curious. I was like, so clearly, this did not just happen to me, or this is not just happening to me. And because of that, I got very curious, and I was asking myself, how do organizations continue to thrive when they let go so many people? I remember one particular incident where I think it was a mining company that they let go like, I think 3,000 to 5,000 employees, and that blew my mind. I'm like, how is this even possible? So thank God for Google, right? I threw myself on Google and I literally typed how organizations continue to thrive when they let go so many people. I just wanted to satisfy my curiosity and perhaps understood, how is my boss coping without me? I didn't think anything would come of that. But nonetheless, I typed in that question and it just sent me down this rabbit hole. For the first time, I came across concepts like artificial intelligence, software replacing people at work, automation, robotics. Those were things that I had no clue what they were. Like, initially, it sounded like Chinese language to me, believe me. At the beginning of 2016, the fourth industrial revolution was still starting. Many people were not paying attention to that. I was one of those. I've never been paying attention to technology as a whole. So the technology that I knew at the time was to make calls on my phone, my laptop at work, send emails, respond to emails. I was a PA. I was a personal assistant to a doctor at Netcare. So anyway, so that was all I knew about technology. And I'm here on the internet reading about artificial intelligence. What is this? So there's some intelligence called artificial. That was literally the first time I came across artificial intelligence. Like, this is interesting. I had no clue. And so because I had so much time in my hands, I was writing about it on social media. And as people would see something and respond, a lot of people started responding to what I was writing. I'm like, oh, Nicky, great, this is really interesting. And people were asking me questions as though I was an expert in this whole thing. I'm like, you guys have no clue. I'm as clueless as you guys. I have no idea what this is. But nonetheless, I had time in my hands, and writing became a way of escape for me. With the pain, the frustration, the fear, what does the future hold for me? What next for me? All of that, I just buried myself in writing, and I sort of escaped that pain I was feeling at the time, just in a small way, escape the pain. So I kept writing, and at some point, people were asking me so many questions about this, and I would go back and research. I would go back and research. I just became very fascinated with the world of technology, and I evolved from there to writing about to writing articles. Instead of just writing Facebook posts, I started a blog, and I was blogging, like just writing articles about it. Honestly, I had no clue what this would become of, but I just felt like, okay, I think people are interested with this. And so at some point, I thought to myself, maybe someone should write a book about this. But in a million years, I didn't think that someone would be me, because I thought you have to be really smart to write a book, right? And I told myself, I don't have a university degree, number one. I am not from a tech background, number two. I felt like my English was so broken, you have to pick the pieces and put them together to understand what I'm saying, number three. There were so many reasons I gave myself why I don't qualify to write a book, so I put it on the back burner. I was like, no, I'm not writing a book, that's not for me. And the idea kept coming, and I remember going to your friend and asking him, like, hey, do you think I can write a book? He looked at me like, what? You can do anything. So it started from there, and it gave me confidence to start writing the book. And I thought, what better title than Disrupt Yourself or Be Disrupted? Because I was here minding my business, and my boss disrupted my life. You know, I did not see it coming. So I wanted to bring the conversation to like this, you know, where we can have the conversations. Ask yourself, can I be replaced by software? It's a question people don't want to ask themselves, right? How relevant are you? Okay, for students sitting in the room, what I am currently studying in school, by the time I finish, will it be relevant for the marketplace? Those are the questions I wanted to drive, you know, with my book and with my story. And I'm glad that the world received, you know, the book the way it did and put me on this spotlight on me and around disruption and digital transformation. But the whole essence of it is for you as an individual. We know how to disrupt the government. We know how to disrupt systems. We know how to disrupt UJ. We know how to complain. But the essence of the book is, this is about you. This is you. Look within yourself and ask yourself, how relevant are you for the world in which we're living? How much do you know about artificial intelligence? When I speak, sometimes people look at me like, but Nicky, this is so overwhelming. I'm like, listen, if I can do this, anybody can do this. Because I'm not coming from the tech background. I do not have a lot of people. Sometimes I speak even to professors about this. Like one time when I was invited in Kenya to speak to university professors about the fourth industrial revolution and the impact it's having, right? So I tell people, if I can do this, anybody can do this, because I don't come from that background. And that time where the conversations around technology was something exclusive for IT guys, that era is over. Now, each and every one of us, we need to understand at least the basics of technology, right? So that you can survive. Because if you don't understand the basics, because sometimes people ask me, but Nicky, this is overwhelming, where do I start? I'm like, start where you are. What are you studying? Start researching within that industry, within that profession. How is technology impacting that particular profession? Are you in agriculture? Are you in finance? Are you in healthcare? Just focus on that. How is technology impacting healthcare? What are the new skills I need to be able to stay relevant in a healthcare industry, or in agriculture industry, or in mining, or whatever your aim is in the future? Is it marketing? Ask yourself, how is technology disrupting marketing? You know, these are the questions they ask, because when people hear about it, like, this is so overwhelming, this is so scary. No, just focus within yourself, within your industry, within your profession. How are things changing? What do you need to stay relevant? You know, that time where, you know, job adverts were advertised with something like computer knowledge is needed as a requirement, almost like a minor requirement, right? That time is over. Your computer knowledge now, for people whose computer knowledge is Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, you are outdated. If that is your computer knowledge, you are outdated. Right now, I had a talk last week where I was telling people, communication is moving beyond humans. It's not just your ability to communicate with another human being. You now need to learn how to communicate with AI systems. Because for many of us sitting here, let's take customer service, for example. If you have a problem with a particular organization today and you want to go through their customer service, many of the conversations you will have will be through a chatbot, not an actual human being. So you need to learn how to have these conversations with these chatbots. Let's take ChatGPT, for example. How many of us know how to prompt properly? How many of us in the room have taken a free course on prompting? This is an actual question. Oh my God, no one. Okay, this is interesting. VC.
We want you to feel important. So I'm sure there are many who did it. Or those that are here, I didn't take the course, right. And I made a note. I'm sure those that came here, if they didn't do it, those that did it are still outside. No, on a serious note, it's really interesting that in this auditorium, not a single one has done that. Yeah. But it's also an opportunity to go out there and be, you know, curious about it.
So it is important, because if you're just focused on what you are studying and to come out with a certificate, everything you're studying here right now, someone out there can get the same information out there with the right prompt from any AI system. So nothing distinguishes you. The only difference is that you come out with a certificate. The other one has a knowledge, but really there's no certificate. But then again, we are slowly entering an era where the world is moving from a degree-based economy to a skill-based economy. So if a certificate is all you're bringing to the table, you need to work much harder to bring something else to the table. And again, your ability to communicate with artificial intelligence system, as we're slowly also moving out of the fourth industrial revolution into what is called the fifth industrial revolution, which is a collaboration of humans and technology, humans and artificial intelligence. So there is no way you can escape this. It's not even asking your opinion, like, do you want to learn about technology? It's not even asking your opinion. You have to learn how to collaborate with AI, because if you don't, you are going to be left behind. Visi mentioned earlier about the fear of losing jobs and how technology is going to disrupt the world of work. That's happening, and is going to escalate even as more AI systems are being built and introduced into the world, right? So one of the things I tell people, the people that AI will replace are people who are not thinking outside the box. AI is not going to replace thinkers. AI is not going to replace curious people. AI is not going to replace continuous learners. AI is not going to replace people who know how to make things happen, because these people know how to partner with AI and build systems that can solve some of the problems within their own community or within their organization. They know how to partner with AI to 10x their productivity. They know how to partner with AI to expand their human potential. You know, I'm very passionate about igniting human potential in the age of disruption or in the age of artificial intelligence. And one thing I tell people, don't focus on AI. A lot of people are focusing on AI in the wrong way, because AI potential is different, human potential is different. Once you focus on enhancing your human potential, then you are going to stay relevant for the world in which you are living today, because humanity, I think for the first time in human history, we have an opportunity to be human again. Because there's nothing in terms of technical skills that you can do in this room that an AI system cannot do it. So we have an opportunity to be human again, so that when people come in contact with you and they leave the room, they feel like, oh, I actually had an encounter with an actual human being. So many people are spending time, you know, on their screens. It could be cell phone, computers, that there is so little human interaction, especially with the hybrid work environments that are happening now. So humanity is something that is needed. That's why Visi mentioned earlier, I'm very passionate about the human-centric digital transformation. And that calls, again, to you as a human being. Do you have human skills that will carry you through this transitioning that the world is going through? Do you have human skills? I was listening to something the other day, and the speaker said something that I thought was really profound. She said, she was talking about her 16-year-old. She said she cannot have the ability to pick a phone call or to pick her phone and call a friend. What the Gen Zs are doing is texting, meaning they're losing out on communication skills. And they're not just texting, they have taken English language and destroyed it completely. When you receive a text from a Gen Z, I need it decoded before I can even understand what is it that they are saying, right? So these are skills that are going to be valuable in future, but the new generation does not understand how to have a conversation with an actual human being. Something as simple as pick a phone call and call someone. No, we rather text. Ask yourself, how often do you text? How often do you call? Because calling and having to talk to someone, it actually is uncomfortable, I know, but it's building your skills. You know, your interpersonal skills, your human skills that will be needed for the workplace in future. So if people are unable to have conversations face-to-face and they would rather just text each other to death, you know, then we know that we have a problem, you know. Visi mentioned earlier about the victim mindset or entitlement. A lot of people, you know, like to point fingers and complain about the government or complain about their parents or complain about their friends, and they are forever the victim, you know. If this was like this, then I would be like this. If this was not like this, then I would not be like this. So what essentially a victim is communicating is that I have no power, I have no control. My life can only change if something on the outside changes. That is a predicament in which a victim puts themselves. For my life to change, there needs to be a change in the government, or we need to put in a different politician. For my life to change, I don't know, you could say your parents need to do 1, 2, 3, or the school need to do 1, 2, 3. So in that way, you are forever helpless because you have put yourself in a situation where you cannot do anything. Someone has to do something for your life to move ahead. Those type of people, I also refer to them as wheelbarrow type of people. Who knows what a wheelbarrow is? Right, we know, right? A wheelbarrow, right? Once you push a wheelbarrow and leave it here, you can travel, you come back, you find it where you left it, right? You push it again, you leave it there. You go somewhere else, come back, you find it where you left it. So that is how people with a victim mindset, wheelbarrow mindset, that is how they operate. They feel like you constantly have to push them. Someone else has to give them something to do before they can do it. They don't know how to take initiative. They don't know, for example, how to go online and search for solutions. With the information that we have at our fingertips, they still entirely depend on the professors, on the teachers, on what the university can offer. And if the solution they are looking for is not part of the university curriculum, then they are stuck. So don't be a wheelbarrow. The people that AI will replace will be wheelbarrows, all right? Because AI is moving so fast at an exponential rate, perhaps even a quantum leap that we're seeing. Let's just look from when OpenAI released their chatbot, ChatGPT. That was in November of 2022. We're in August, right? Is it August? Oh gosh, I can't even remember what month we're in. So anyway, we are in August. That's like 8 months, 9 months, 10 months. Math is leaving the room, don't worry. But here's the point I'm making. How the world has changed in just 10 months, just with the release of one artificial intelligence software. How much the world has changed in only 10 months. And then ask yourself, how much have you yourself changed in the last 10 months, in the last 1 year? What have you done differently from what you normally do? How are you responding to the disruption? How are you responding to the AI disruption? Many people are responding only by complaining. They are not looking. One of the things I mentioned in the book, VC, is that we cannot fight technology. We cannot fight this revolution. We cannot fight this disruption. What you can do is to ask yourself, how can I become part of the revolution? And the people who ask themselves that question, that is why I believe curiosity should be one of the top skills of the future. Because personally, had it been I did not become curious as to how organizations continue to thrive when they let go so many people, I probably would not even be sitting here and talking to you people. My life would probably have taken a completely different path. But because I got really curious and throw myself, to the belly of the internet, so to say, I was able to find answers that many people were not looking for. I was able to solve my own problem, so to say, and I can now sell the solution, right? So this is what it means to be part of the revolution. When things are happening out there, don't just complain. Ask yourself, how can I partner with this? How can these enhance my potential? Because those who understand the power of human potential and their partnership with artificial intelligence, those are the people that are going to win. The mindset is where the revolution begins. We can talk in this room till tomorrow. If nothing clicks inside of your mind, it was completely a waste of time. So the mindset is where the revolution begins. And it begins with you as an individual. Don't wait for government. A lot of people are waiting for government, right? And I remember I always say this. Many people wait for their solutions to come from the government. But when they want certain things, they go on the internet and get it themselves. For example, most of the amapiano dance moves A lot of you in this room can dance them. Am I right? Okay, you don't want to answer, but we know, right? You go on the internet and you learn those dance moves. When a new song comes out, you're there. You learn those dance moves. Okay, for us ladies, hello, fashion. We check it online. Oh, draw your eyebrows or your eyebrows on flick. We check it online. I'm lookable, right? I'm also part of that, okay? I also check that online. But then, it is not the government sponsoring you to go learn fashion online. It is not the government sponsoring you to go learn dancing skills online. There are other skills I don't want to mention that we are all learning online, you know. It's not the government sponsoring that. When you want it, you go online and you learn it yourself. But when it comes to actually investing in your future and learning actual skills that can save you and save your community and perhaps save the whole country, you're waiting for the government to sponsor you. That is not you disrupting yourself. That's you waiting to disrupt the government. And we know there's a lot of red tape when it comes to disrupting the government and when it comes to disrupting systems. But with you, you can remove your own red tape whenever you want and disrupt. Whatever you're familiar with, that you've been practicing for so long and nothing is changing, you can decide and say, okay, I've come to a point where I feel enough is enough and I need to do something differently. That is you disrupting yourself. You know, for some people sitting in the room, you know that what you're studying is really not what you should be studying. Maybe you're like VC, who has this passion for DJing, but you're like, but well, I need the degree, you know? Let me just have it. Why not go do what you're passionate about, you know? Because again, we are entering an era where degrees is not everything. In the past, it was. But right now, the skills you can bring to the table is what is going to set you apart. Your ability to partner with artificial intelligence is what is going to set you apart. There are many people in the world of work today, especially those within the software engineers or software developers and things like that. They didn't go to any university. They self-taught themselves everything it had to do with software development. Many graphic designers out there, they didn't go to any school for that. Many website developers out there, they didn't go to any school for that. They learned those skills on their own. And some of them have degrees as well, but they learn those skills on their own. I can speak about technology and the impact it has on the world of work. I did not learn that in any school. I throw myself on the internet and I continuously learn about the trends and what is happening in the world of work. How is this impacting the world of work? How is this changing people? How do I need to also upskill myself to stay relevant? When COVID-19 happened, everyone was disrupted. Everyone had to evolve, had to ask hard questions to myself. So before I carry on, VC, maybe there's some more questions you have.
No, please go ahead. We also want to leave some time for the audience to engage with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so as I was saying, you need to be asking yourself, what are the skills out there that you can learn and monetize instead of waiting, you know, for the traditional jobs. Our parents left school with certificates and they were guaranteed to have a job. But that is not our story today. That is not the story for many of the young people sitting in the room today. Yes, you're going to leave with a university degree, but you're going to face the world where you need to start from zero. That is, at least that's how it's going to feel. So one of the key things that I would like to leave you people with is about your personal brand. And when I talk about this in terms to students or to employees, they look at me like, why should I care about that? Because they think that personal branding is something for online influencers, right? You think of maybe TikTok dancers or the big influencers that are doing big things, you know. But if you have a Facebook account, if you have a Twitter account, if you have an Instagram account, if you're on social media, you have a personal brand. Whether you are intentional about it or not, you have a personal brand. And this is my personal opinion. The future of resumes is going to be personal branding. It's not just going to be you sending a piece of paper with a list of things that you cannot account for to any organization and expecting that they can take your word for it. Because the world is being so disrupted, there is no organization today that is going to employ anybody without checking them out on social media first. Many of us are sitting here, we go on dates. Do you go on date with anybody without first checking them out on social media? You don't. That's the world in which we are living today. You have to know who this person is. You have to check their history. Scroll all the way back 2 years ago. Who was this person? What was he up to? That is what organizations are doing, in case you don't know. So the future of CVs and resumes is going to be personal brand. There are people that looked great on CV until the company did their homework and realized, nope, we don't want this person in our organization. But the piece of paper they sent through, they were perfect on it until they were checked on social media. So the question to you is, what kind of reputation, what kind of digital DNA are you living out there? Because there is no one that's going to do business with you without checking you out on social media. No one is going to go on any date with you, even if they lie to you and say, no, I didn't check, they're lying, without checking you out on social media. No one is going to do business, employ you, or any of that stuff without checking you on social media. That is just the reality of our world today. So why not be intentional about telling the world who you are, telling your own story, so that when people actually get to land on your profile, they go like, wow. Instead of, So be intentional about your personal brand. Your personal brand will help you stand out from the rest. So many of us, we can share gossip online. We check out who is dating who divorced who, which celebrity said what, but we are not focusing on our own personal brand. It is important. How do you build a personal brand? Find something you're passionate about and start, doing all the talking online around that topic. There are many people in the room, maybe you're passionate about climate change, but what you're studying is really not in relation to climate change. It's okay to start sharing stories like that out there. When I was writing about the impact of technologies in the world of work, I didn't know who was paying attention to that. I didn't know who was following me. I didn't know who this is going to elevate me to where it elevated me. I didn't know any of that. I didn't even know I was building a personal brand. I just thought I was talking. So, again, it is important for you to start sharing and adding value to the people within your online community. That is you living your DNA online. And it better be a good one. It better be a good one. Because if it is not, you can find yourself in a very good opportunity or being offered a good opportunity and only for it to be withdrawn because of what was discovered through your digital DNA. We all have it. Every one of us sitting here, we have a digital DNA. But is this something you can be proud of? Are you putting out there stuff you can be proud of? If you're posting stuff and your heart feels like, no, don't do it. If you know you cannot stand and defend this in public, don't do it. Because so many of us are so bold behind the keyboard, we don't realize the power, what you're putting out there, the implication it has, not just in the world around you, but on your own life. Things you posted 5 years ago, even if you delete it, when there is need for it, they will find it. So your personal brand is important, and to every one of you listening, and even those that are online, take it seriously as a young person and put something out there that is going to elevate you as a person, not something that will have the chance of ruining opportunities for you. Start building that and network. Networking is key. Who you know, matters. And how do you build these relationships? By being intentional about your personal brand. By being intentional about how you show up in the world. Share things that you're passionate about. Each and every one of us sitting in this room, we have something we're passionate about. Beside being the VC and you're doing a great job, you could even start, just sharing tips on DJing without necessarily going full-time into it. People already will know you. So it is important that we start being very intentional about this and network. Start building your networks now because there is a time. There's a quote that says, build The best time to fix the roof is when the sun is shining. And for everyone sitting here, many of us are still in college, in the university. The best time for you to build a personal brand is now. The best time for you to build those networks is now. You may not see the value of it now, but 3, 4, 5 years from now, you're going to see the value of these relationships you've built and the value of the personal brand you have been building. When an organization checks you online and they see, oh my God, this is such a valuable person, whatever they're sharing online, people are paying attention. Which organization would not want to work with someone like that? I have been recommended so many times for different events, speaking, but when they check me out, I better match whatever they told them, right? So that is the power of it. That is the power of it. So start building something. Are you passionate about food? You can build your personal brand around that. Now, because a lot of people get confused when I talk about this, they're like, but what I'm studying is not really in line with what I'm passionate about. How do I build a personal brand? I listened to an interview of the CEO of, I think it's Accenture. Maybe I'm mistaken, but she said something. She said, whenever they're about to employ someone, throughout the recruitment process, there's one question they ask. They will ask this candidate, what have you learned in the last 6 months? It doesn't matter to them what they learned. They could have learned a new recipe. They could have learned to play soccer. They could have learned to DJ like you. You have that passion. It could be anything. They could have, But if this person responds and says, not really, haven't learned anything in the last 6 months, no matter how good they were on paper, they will not employ that person. It's the key role within the organization, and they have close to, 100,000 employees around the world. But he said that it applies in every organization. It's a global conglomerate. It applies. The key thing, if this person had not learned anything in the past 6 months, do not bring them into our organization. Why? It shows this is a person who is a wheelbarrow, basically. They don't take initiative. They don't plan to do anything. So one of the key things for you when you're building your personal brand is that it's going to force you to learn. Because I'm building my personal brand around digital transformation, it forces me to learn all the trends around digital transformation and technology. If you are building a personal brand around food, it's going to force you to learn what is happening within the food industry and what are the new trends that are coming up. If you're building a personal brand around fashion, it's going to force you to learn things around fashion industry. If you are building a personal brand around climate change, it's going to force you to learn things around climate change that had it been you are not working on that, you will never be able to learn. And it's going to teach you things that no university will ever teach you, just by you building a personal brand. So think about it as you're intentional online. All of us sitting here, we have a spot in the digital space. But ask yourself, what type of DNA, what type of digital DNA are you living out there? Because it is important. Wow. Thank you, Vesi.
Wow. Let's give Nicky Verd a warm round of an applause. Thank you so much. We can talk about these important issues for the whole day, the whole week, because they're extremely important. I was making notes, for myself, and some of the issues, that really stood out for me. Everything stood out, but, when you say we must understand the basics, how is technology affecting your industry or profession? I think today you can't sit and say, I don't care, because then, you're as good as gone, The free course on prompting, I'm going to dig and see how I can also educate myself, learn something. I read somewhere where they say people who get jobs will be those that can use this technology to prompt, to tell the technology to do what you want to do. It's like you can have a sports car. If you don't know how to drive it, you will never enjoy it. You'll say this is a bad car, I guess. Learn about how to interact with technology, how to partner with AI. And I guess those that don't want to learn are the ones that would say this is bad. And I always say that technology is like fire. You can use it, to cook and to advance us as human beings, or it could hurt us, So we need to learn how to use this. ChatGPT, there are those who say, stop this nonsense. And we are part of the group that says, no, we have to embrace it, learn to work with it, and elevate ourselves. You talked about the important point that human potential is different from AI potential. So AI basically can complement us. It's not something that would, that we should see as competition. You asked the question, how can one be part of the disruption? It's what we should ask ourselves. Yes, there is disruption out there. How can we be part of that disruption? And you also talked about the mindset is where the revolution begins, And you say it begins with you, Don't wait for the government. How many of us are waiting for the government? Everything we say, no, the government has not provided, but without standing out there and doing something for ourselves. The last part, really, I was sitting, that this is something that, it's something that maybe one day we should make a plan that we can address a bigger audience, especially for our student body, about personal branding. You said people are hiding behind the keyboard. How many of us have experienced this? People insult behind the keyboard, thinking that they will not be caught. And it's easy to catch somebody. TikTok. I don't even want to go there. I'm a South African as it gets, but on TikTok, I'm called a foreigner. There's nothing wrong being a foreigner, but I'm South African as it gets. And I'm like, the people who think they can sit behind TikTok and insult, they will get away with it. It's easy to get these people. 5 years down the line, one can't hide behind the fact that the one was young and dumb, most probably. You talk about the future of CVs, which is going to change. This is just amazing. I know of people who were approached and hired on social media. Serious jobs, and the question that one should ask is that my digital DNA, as you put it, is it the one that sells me well out there, or is it the one that portrays me as an empty person? Because sometimes you see people, what they do, I don't know, I'm old school perhaps, and I was curious how you find my digital DNA, my online presence, because you get people say, oh, now I'm having a chewing gum, oh, now I'm going to drink a Kool-Aid, and you're like, well, do we really want to know this nonsense? But anyway, that is their digital DNA, And personal branding, I thought you could even take it one step backward. I mean, the way I'm dressed today to be with you is part of my personal branding. The way I talk to you, whether I will benefit anything or not, is part of my branding. People think it's cool to go out and be disrespectful. Hey, dude, you're addressing the Vice-Chancellor. Already, it's personal. I associate your brand as the one that is not fit for something. I mean, I personally recommended people for jobs even when I was just a professor. I remember this fellow I met at a conference. He asked me a question. The way he talked to me, I never forgot about him. He reminded me of myself when I was his age at that stage of my career. And I recommended him for jobs and a few others because of how one engaged. People think it's cool to come rude and abrasive, looking at, hey, dude, that type of thing. But anyway, so really is important, and networking. Some of the things that, now, for our students, you have future collaborators, partners, and so on, could be sitting next to you. It's how you engage with them. As I said, it's not about me, it's about us engaging with Nicky here. And thanks for sharing all this important information. There's a lot more that I know you can share. We talked previously, and my wish is that down the line we can organize that you engage a bigger audience, especially our student body. We've got about 10 minutes or so for 10 minutes for questions. If you could keep them very short, ladies and gentlemen, so that we can accommodate more people, I'll greatly appreciate that. So, yes, sir. The microphone, please.
Thank you. Greetings, everyone. My name is Tato. And thank you to Ms. Nicky. I very much relate with, the branding aspect that you get to create as one person. And I'm so intrigued myself that, I was in an elevator now with, a panel member that interviewed me quite a long time ago. And I never even got the job. But she was like to me, we've been looking at you and we think you're doing the most, and they'd like to work with me currently now. So my question...
I want to take more people. If you could go straight.
Yes, sorry.
I'm sorry.
No problem, sorry. how has your journey been as a social entrepreneur? Did you have an idea that you would maybe collaborate with certain counterparts that you came across, at the start of your career, or things just unfolded in a way that you never imagined? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
For me, I think I actually had this conversation yesterday. I was telling someone, sometimes some people go searching for their purpose, but sometimes your purpose just jumped in front of you. And for my case, that is how I feel. My purpose found me. When I got retrenched, if anyone told me that there was a writer in me, I would laugh. If anyone told me I could speak in public, I would be like, what? I used to be in class back in the day. If a teacher got in and I know they're going to start asking questions, I would go under the table.
That was me, all right. So I did not know any of that. So for me, everything unfolded, and one thing just led to another. I never sat down. I have people asking me questions. Nicky, how do I write a book? I'm like, I'm the wrong person you're asking that. When I was writing this thing, I didn't know I was writing a book.
Yeah.
It's just evolved into a book. When I started, it wasn't a plan that I sat down and planned, okay, I'm going to write a book. By the time the idea came for me to write the book, I already had so many articles out on my website. I just had to compile it. That is literally how it became a book. So yeah, sometimes your purpose finds you, sometimes you find your purpose.
Development practitioner, and I agree absolutely with everything you said, branding, networking, and that digital DNA. My question is, I just want to know your opinion, and perhaps based on your experience and your knowledge, how far do you think we are when it comes to corporate South Africa embracing that digital DNA of our young graduates? Because we are encouraging them that the world of work has changed. It's no longer that I have a degree that's called this, then I'm limited to that. I can now build myself through AI and technology. So how far is corporate South Africa in embracing that based on your knowledge and maybe your experience? Thank you.
That's really a good question. I attended the
Future
Work Trends at
Deloitte a month ago, and there were so many corporates in the room, including Vodacom, your big corporates, you know what I mean? So one of the questions I asked, and I was very intentional about asking that question, was, what are their thoughts? Because the trends, according to Deloitte, that was being revealed was this move from degrees to skills and things like that. So the question I asked one of the ladies, I think she was from Vodacom, was, how is the corporate in South Africa embracing micro-learning? I think that was the word I asked. Micro-credentials. Thank you, VC. That was it. How is corporate embracing that? Because if we are hearing these trends, that this is how the world is moving, how is South Africa responding to that? And I remember she didn't quite clearly answer the question, and I stopped pushing because I wanted to hear what the thoughts were. But South Africa is not yet there. That is the honest truth. Because I remember when we had the conversation after that event, someone told me, Nicky, you can't force her to say this because she will be held accountable if she doesn't employ people who have micro-credentials, So she was still like, no, degrees are still very important. We still need people with degrees, but you have to come with more. But then when we're looking at the trends, what is really happening, in other parts of the world, there are people being employed that never have a degree in their lives, right? And the change is happening, slowly happening, but we still have a long way to get there. But that being said, as an individual, prepare yourself for disruption,
so that when the time comes, you are ready.
If all your focus is on degree now, on a degree now, or having an MBA or having a PhD, that is all your focus. 5 years down the line,
and there is this complete shift, and the organizations are no longer recruiting people based on these credentials, it therefore means you are starting from zero. You did not prepare for that shift. So follow the trends, see where the trends are going, and prepare yourself for that. As much as you are in university, have something on the side
that you know is going to make you stay relevant for the market.
This question, yes?
My name's Jason. I'm actually doing a marketing course, and one of the sub-modules was personal branding and how our digital persona has become our main persona, and how that we've regressed into a session of not knowing how to do a physical, like selling yourself. It takes 5 seconds to make an impression and 15 seconds to sell yourself. So it's learning now how a personal brand must not only be a digital personal brand, but now a physical personal brand. And especially after COVID, do you feel like we've lost the ability to do a human connection within those 15 seconds?
Yes, absolutely. That is the thing. That I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you were in the room when I was talking about the Gen Zs not being able to even take a phone call.
And call someone and talk on the phone, not even talk over face-to-face, right? So as humanity, we are losing that, I think, after COVID. But then, when we look at the trends, we are also seeing that human skills are going to be some of the most important skills in future. Your ability to empathize, empathy, emotional intelligence, your ability to manage disruption, your ability to manage chaos. These are human skills that AI has nothing to do with. But if you as an individual cannot manage that, how people see your perception of the world, your mindset, these are skills that you as an individual have to work on. These are human skills that are going to be so important for the future of work. So your mindset, your ability to connect with people emotionally, your ability to deal with chaos, resilience, that's one of the skills of the future as well, because we live in a very disruptive world. We could get up tomorrow and anything is happening. We've been seeing the explosion at Joburg CBD. We had a big tremor in Johannesburg that happened a couple of months ago. So these are things that happen and it shakes us. How do you handle things like that as an individual? If your organization is going through restructuring or change, how do you handle that change? Many organizations are going through digital transformation, It's ongoing. I don't even think there's a time is ever going to come to an end. As an employee, even if your organization is not giving you the tools to manage that change, you as an individual, how resilient are you to manage that change? There are impossible people to work with at work, in schools. People that are so difficult, they are so rude. They treat you as if you're not a person. How do you manage people like that? That counts as your emotional intelligence, your ability, not just to manage your own emotions, but to manage the emotions of the person next to you. Those are skills that, in spite of how talented you are technically, if you lack those skills, you will not be able to survive in the world in which we're living now.
Wow. This is Nicky Verd, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give her a warm round of an applause. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we have run out of time. For me, what is left really is to thank our guests today. But, the temptation is always there to share one or two things. I mean, when you talk about resilience, I always talk about it. The current generation lacks that, fighting spirit. People give up easily. And one thing I can tell you, the main message I'm taking today, ladies and gentlemen, is that and you said it, and I'm using your words, the ability to partner with AI is what will set you apart from the rest. That's it. Obviously, you have to embrace AI to partner with it, and there's so much that we can learn. The tendency is to think, Nicky, that you need a degree in engineering to partner with AI, and often it's simple things. One quick thing comes to mind. A former colleague of ours introduced me to this simple app, if this, then that. If this happened, then, and I love it, because you can tell it when I arrive at home, connect to Wi-Fi automatically, or when I leave work, switch off whatever, or when I get into the car, switch off Bluetooth. It does that automatically, but you don't need a degree to do it. And there are other nice things, and I think this should win me Husband of the Year. In the morning, because when you have a contract, you get like 50 SMSs. What do you do with 50 SMSs these days if you have WhatsApp? So I set a nice one. Send love quote of the day to my wife. So in the morning it says, love this, and she loves it, But I had to confess that it's sent by because no, she would come and say, oh, that love quote you sent me this morning was really nice. Oh, thank you. And I'm like, which love quote? And so I had to confess. But the other one that is really helping me in my life is that when my battery is at 15%, it sends automatically an SMS. It says, hello, my love. This is an automated message. My battery is about to die. Love you. I'm not lying. It sends it all the time. It sends it all the time. Then she knows that my battery. Another one, when I leave work, you set up a parameter. When I leave work, it used to fire a message to say, hi, I'm leaving work. And then when I arrive, hi, I'm arriving. But I stopped that one because I set it when I was dean and at A7. You know this place. So then one day we had a meeting at the auditorium. So I got a seat where when I do this, the phone would move. It would say, I'm leaving, I'm entering, I'm leaving. And that day I was not husband of the day. So I thought, no, I'm leaving this thing. But there are so many things that we think you need a degree, whereas there's so much. So for me, we definitely need to learn this, how to use this prompting and so on. And another important point that I'm taking with me is, or what I want to share now in conclusion, is to say, through your book, Nicky, you really made sure that those with ears, should hear you, and the warning. Those with eyes should see this. There is an African saying that the ears that don't listen will accompany the head when it's chopped. So I would say the eyes that don't see, I'm changing it now, will accompany the head, because here are people like Nicky who have been there, who are doing this every day, who wrote a book and are sharing this, that look, you cannot rely only on one thing, you must continuously improve your skills. I'm going to DJ, I'm telling you. And people think it's about going to nightclubs. No, it's about loving music and playing and making people dance. And when I'm ready, please come. And I want to do it while I'm Vice-Chancellor. So that people don't criticize me, I'm going to partner with UJFM, where UJFM people. Then it will be part of work, And then we'll do it here at the fountain. And definitely that club has encouraged me. You have encouraged me. Somebody could play guitar at 50. I will DJ, and then we'll see, I promise you. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, this book before I talk about where to find this book, Nicky, your story reminds me of something that a colleague shared with me about, sometimes you may think, oh, why me? This is bad. They say you will never know what good luck, bad luck brought you. You may think this is bad luck, but it's pushing you towards bigger things. I mean, now we are benefiting from your wisdom, from your bad experience, and I'm sure you don't even want to go back to that employer that called you and told you we were retrenching you. So, ladies and gentlemen, this book is available at Exclusive Books, and please grab yourself a copy. Take it from me. I read the book, and I reread it. I go through it again because we had to postpone. And because the university closed, and I read it again and so on. There are lots of words of wisdom in here that will really make sure that when you go out there, you are different from the rest. Ladies and gentlemen, from my side, thank you very much, Nicky. Let's give Nicky another warm round of an applause.
One final thought before we go.
Yeah.
I remember I had a keynote, a masterclass with ABSA, some of ABSA employees, and one of the things I said was, a lot of people are worried about being replaced by AI, right? But we are also entering an era where people will be replaced, people who are partnering with AI will be replaced by people who are not doing anything. Because, if you have a colleague at work who understands this system, they are learning new skills, they are doing free courses online. It's not necessarily a software that you should be worried about. That is your competition right there. Someone who is learning this system, someone who is understanding how to prompt, for example, I asked earlier who has done the free course. There are so many free courses online. Google is offering them. Education is slowly moving from universities like this into corporates. Because sad to say, VC, universities are not producing what the market is looking for. That is why Google has these free courses. Some of them are paid for. That is why many of these corporates have these courses, right? So for people who are taking those courses, that is your competition, not artificial intelligence. For people who are learning about the impact of technology within their industry, that is your competition, not AI. So when you just sit and you're not doing anything and you are working, the person who is going to replace you, or the thing that's going to replace you, is not necessarily AI, but the person who is learning AI. You'll be kicked out, and the same person, and a human being, will take your place, not necessarily a mission. So I wanted to leave you with that thought.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, what is left of me is to thank each and every one of you for having tea with us this afternoon. I am Letlhokwa Mpedi, Vice-Chancellor and Principal of the great University of Johannesburg. Thank you so much. Thanks, Nicky. This was amazing. Yeah, I want us to take a picture, but I also have I have something for you. Can I give you? Yeah, thank you so much. I've got something. I don't know if I gave you a book before.